Well, thanks very much for the opportunity to come and talk to you tonight. I'm Tony Wally, and have you ever had one of those nights where you've had a previous conversation with a friend who said, you ought to set a blog site up because you've got a load to say and you've got a really big mouth, and people of Stoke-on-Trent could really relate to you. And I am probably the most IT illiterate person you will ever see in your life. One Wednesday night, my wife went out and there was 3 bottles of red wine sat there waiting for me. So after a couple of glasses of the first, I thought, what Gary said about setting up a website, a blog site, I wonder if I could do that. And I logged on to Blogspot, and I thought, right, okay, get to going, go for it. So I did. And at the end of the second bottle, I'd actually managed to create a blog site and give it no name. Now, Stoke-on-Trent's famous for a couple of things. In the old days, it was the pottery industry, the mining industry, the coal industry. Now it's famous for corruption in local politics. It's famous for a whole hash of things that go on in local government that we're not all too proud of. And it is also famous for the BNP, unfortunately. So at the end of the first night, the words of an old school teacher came back to me who said, Wally, you're only good for the Pits and Pots. And I thought, what a great site. What does Stoke-on-Trent mean to everybody's Pits and Pots? So we set this blog site up, Pits and Pots, and we set about it. And from no hits, at the end of the third bottle of wine, I'd managed to write a couple of stories. And my wife came in and said, what have you been doing tonight? And I went, I have set a blog site up. How good's that? She went, you? And I went, yeah, me. So we managed in the early days of getting 20 hits a day, 25 hits a day. And we built it up, and we concentrated basically on the local news. The news that was coming out of Stoke-on-Trent City Council, actually. And we were blessed with things like the elected mayor and referendum, the BSF programme. For everybody that doesn't know about BSF, it's Building Schools for the Future. And that's caused a massive storm in Stoke-on-Trent. And luckily, we were able to be at the forefront of that. And, of course, the BNP politics, which always seems to light that match under the flame of debate. And we went to something like 400 hits a day within a couple of months. And then some wonderful person came along one night while I was sitting there having my supper and decided that they would publish the whole of the BNP membership list on my site while I was having my supper. And suddenly I started getting emails and tweets and text messages. I thought, what's going on? It'll wait. It's not important. I haven't finished my wine yet. So I finished my wine, switched on, and there must have been 8,000 names, personal addresses, text emails of every BNP member in Stoke-on-Trent. I'm in trouble. I can't handle this. And the guy to my left came to my rescue. Now, he doesn't look like a knight in shining armour, but that night he was, because he actually managed to track me down and said something like, and I'll try and clean this up, you fat idiot, do you realise what's happening on your site? You better go and sort this out. And we'd never met. We had several email conversations, and we'd agreed that we would build a new site that would be Pits and Pots 2. And then eventually, after about 2 months, we did meet. We didn't like each other straight away, but we like a married couple now. And we set about building this site that currently has something up to 2,000 hits a day. And I'm going to let Mike tell you a little bit about how he took over and gave the site a little bit of credibility.
Did I? Yeah. First mistake was that I tried to track Tony down and say, you need to sort this out. My second mistake was actually meeting him and engaging in a conversation and buying the domain and setting up what you can see in front of you there, which is today's news. I've not been in Stoke, so it's quite interesting. Transition board to be scrapped. Should be interesting. I'm not going to show you the comments because that would probably be quite contentious. We tried to drive the site forward and give it a bit of credibility. We moved it away from Blogspot onto self-hosted, tried to take on the paper to some extent because the Sentinel in Stoke-on-Trent is quite static with news as it is. It produces yesterday's news tomorrow because the Sentinel, like most papers, are up against it and they're publishing tomorrow. So we thought, right, well, we'll take the fight to the council. So we go to the council meetings, we tweet, we write, and we cut all the, not rubbish, I don't know if that's the right word, but we cut out all the stuff that you don't need to know about council minutes. and we just put up there what the vote was, what the decision was, who voted for what, so that people can then discuss what they want to discuss about their elected members. They don't have to wait 2 or 3 days for the minutes to come out.